Good afternoon, South Mississippi. Meteorologist Taylor Graham here. Just wanted to give an update on the forecast and this lower humidity and how long we can expect it to last. I know it's still hot outside, but at least when you step out the door, it's not going to hit you like a ton of bricks. Thank goodness the humidity is lower, and hopefully you've been able to enjoy that or notice that today. We're still in the middle of summer, so this lower humidity not lasting forever, but we'll take anything that we can get. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at what to expect throughout the rest of the evening. Not a bad forecast. We're actually looking at temperatures dropping fairly quickly after the sunset. No rain expected. We're already seeing a lot of sunshine out there, and once we get past the sunset this evening, temperatures will start to fall into the 70s and the sky will stay mostly clear. And waking up tomorrow morning, there's a good chance that if you live north of I-10, you're going to be waking up in the upper 60s, and that's because the humidity is lower. Now, like I said, it's still hot outside right now. As of about 3 o'clock, we have temperatures in the low to mid 90s, but the heat index today has only been right around 100, even less than that at times. And that is a huge improvement from what we had just a couple of days ago. And again, the lower humidity is going to help us to cool down a decent amount. So compared to this time yesterday, dew points are roughly about, I would say, 5 to 10 degrees lower. Now, some spots maybe not as much, a little bit farther to our north, but here on the coast, it's a noticeable drop in the humidity. And so right now we are looking at dew points mainly in the mid 60s, even for those of us right along the immediate coastline. Now, in other points in the year, the 60s may be feeling a little bit more muggy, but to be honest, for this point in the year, 60s are not too bad. It's a dew point right now of 64 in Gulfport, it looks like 66 up into Hattiesburg. Check it out, Mobile, Pensacola, seeing a dew point of 58. It really doesn't happen too often in August that we can see the humidity that low. Now, again, it's temporary, but hopefully you've been able to feel that lower humidity as you step out the door. We technically had a cold front move through yesterday. Even though it's a cold front, I know it didn't really cool us down too much, but we are definitely seeing some drier air on the north side of that. So sometimes I like to refer to these as humidity fronts, just because they bring a drop in the humidity, but not so much a drop in temperatures. It's probably not going to be until sometime at the end of September until October that we'll finally get a nice cold front to really cool us down. But like I said, I think at this point we will take anything that we can get. It doesn't feel nearly as miserable outside, to be honest, as you step out the door. And with all that dry air, we're not really going to see any rain today, nor will we see much rain tomorrow. Rain chances are still looking pretty slim over the next couple of days. So waking up tomorrow morning, if you're going to be up near the sunrise, nice treat, just a tiny, tiny little taste of fall. Temperatures are going to be in the upper 60s north of I-10, low 70s, a little bit closer to the coast, the low humidity making it feel more refreshing. But even though the mornings are going to be a bit cooler, we're still going to be very warm or even hot in the afternoon. Wednesday afternoon, we're aiming for temperatures in the low to mid 90s, which is pretty typical for this time of the year. Heat index, not going to be too high, maybe right around 100, a little bit lower than that. It's a big improvement from having the heat index close to 115 like we had just a few days ago. And then with that drier air sticking around Wednesday night into Thursday, an even better chance of seeing temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. Now, our latest in-house forecast model, this one I'm showing you right here, is hinting that some of us on the coast could dip down into the upper 60s. I'm not really much of an early bird, but even that alone makes me want to get up outside a little bit earlier on Thursday morning. I highly recommend if you have any yard work to do, maybe you want to get in some exercise, the early mornings are going to feel fantastic, and rain chances are still looking slim to none, at least through the end of Wednesday. By Thursday and Friday, we may have a couple of hit or miss showers and storms, but today and tomorrow, rain chances are looking pretty slim. By Thursday, the humidity starts to creep up a little bit more. Not terrible, but it is going to be feeling more summer-like once we get into Thursday and Friday. So again, dew points mainly staying in the mid 60s. Maybe if we're lucky, they'll dip down into the upper 50s. at some point today or tomorrow. Now that's going to be maybe a bit of a stretch for some of us right on the coast, but for this time of the year, dew points in the mid 60s is really nice. Just to put it in perspective, at times this past weekend we had dew points in the low 80s. That's just about as humid as it can get down here on the Gulf Coast. So these dew points about 15 degrees lower, so a big improvement from what we had this past Saturday and Sunday. Now, like I said, it's not lasting forever. Once we get into, I would think by the end of Thursday and Friday, we'll start to notice it feeling a little bit more muggy outside. Maybe not as extreme as seeing dew points near 80, but we'll start to see a higher humidity, feeling a little bit more muggy out there. And we're also going to notice an increase in moisture in the upper levels, giving us a chance for a few more showers and storms by Thursday, Friday, and even into Saturday. Not really anticipating a cool down anytime soon in terms of temperatures. Still going to be in the low to mid 90s, at least over the next 6 to 7 days. But that's pretty close to average for this time of the year. This is what we expect. It is August after all. And it's not usually until at some point at the end of September or October we start to cool down a little bit more. I did a little digging into some of our climate data to find out when we've had our first days with high temperatures in the 70s. Last year it didn't happen until about October 8th. And if you remember, last summer was incredibly hot. We even had our all-time record high happen last summer. Now, the year before that, we had a 70-degree day in September. Same thing in the year before that, 2020. It happened on September 19th. And on average, our first day of the season, when we have high temperatures in the 70s, usually falls right around September 19th. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be that exact day this upcoming year, but there is some hope. It just goes to show that eventually things are going to be feeling a little bit cooler, and as we get closer to fall, generally speaking, our temperatures are going to be lower. But again, like last year, it didn't really happen until the beginning of October. It's just that if we can make it through August and likely the first part of September, typically speaking, history tells us there is hope on the way for some cooler weather. Just a quick update on the tropics. To be honest, not a whole lot to update. What was Hurricane Ernesto is now a post-tropical system that is going to continue to move up into the northern Atlantic, away from the U.S., away from Canada. Not really much of a concern at all for us. Some of those remnants may be moving into the UK, but again, that is moving away from us. And other than that, no new development expected within the next 5 to 7 days. That's always a nice thing to hear in the middle of August. Of course, hurricane season is far from over, but we can rest easy at least the next 5 to 7 days. Not saying a ton in the way of tropical activity in the Atlantic. And really, today, tomorrow, even the first part of Thursday, the humidity not too bad. We're looking at lower humidity sticking around for a little bit, and because of that, our morning lows getting down into the upper 60s and low 70s, which is a very nice treat for this time of the year. Now, once we get into the weekend, things start to get a little bit more humid. Even though temperatures maybe not as high, the higher humidity probably going to make it feel even hotter. And just a heads up, we may see a few of those hit or miss showers and storms going into the weekend. But if you're like me, hopefully you can enjoy some of that lower humidity this evening by spending some time outside. Maybe I'll hang out with my dogs on the back porch. And early tomorrow morning, if you're up, you're in for a nice treat because of those temperatures in the upper 60s, maybe even some mid 60s farther inland in Pearl River, Stone, and George County. This is a nice little break from some of that very intense heat and humidity that we had this past weekend. So with that, I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of your Tuesday, and heading into tomorrow, the weather is looking really nice for any outdoor plans. So have a wonderful Tuesday, and we will see you back here shortly.